in Kaduna Central Senatorial District. We're picking his brains, as it were, on a cross-section of Nigerian issues, and necessarily it will lean a bit towards, our concluding the elections and moving towards the 29th, when the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be signed on. Indeed, we've been asking a few questions that actually will be front and center on the new president's desk. And we've heard from Senator Shehu Sani that as far as he's concerned, security, economy, agriculture, and education would be the priorities. And there was a freeze when you finished saying that. I suppose because these are big issues, and you yourself had alluded to the danger or difficulty in focusing on such humongous issues. Do you think that has any bearing on what I asked the question earlier of the former Emir of Kano, now Khalifa Sanusi II, what he meant when he was saying that he actually pitied the next guy who came along to be the president?
Well, I believe the experience of Sanusi as an economist and a banker informed his analysis and also conclusion. There is no doubt about it. It's not going to be a tea party for the next president. Taking cognizance of what has happened in the last 8 years. If he is going to inherit a country with such a mountain of debt, and the fact that many projects and infrastructural development are dependent on foreign loans, which of course some of our creditors or lenders have started turning their backs on us, certainly there is going to be a problem. And it is only when you fix the economy that you will be able to get the resources and they will implement your program. If you have a government now that has failed to implement the rationalization of federal ministries, departments, and agencies from about 800 to be reduced to about 300 or something of that nature, the Orosai report. The next president will now have to do it, and that will have to involve laying off thousands of people, and you should know that it will come with a cost. And the next president said he is going to remove fuel subsidy, petroleum subsidy. And to do that, certainly you know he is going to come into open confrontation with the labor, the civil society, and the populace who will struggle to survive through high cost of living. That is also a challenge to him. And terrorism and banditry in the country has always been also an issue that has defied solution under this administration, despite trillions of naira being pumped into defense and security. He will also be judged by that, whether he can solve all these problems. I think Nigerians will understand if a leader doesn't portray himself as a magician or a messiah that have the solutions to all problems. If you present yourself as a servant that is ready to lead and to serve the country and carry people along, everyone will understand. But if you say you can solve all the problems of Nigeria, everyone will become a spectator and watch you solve it. And if you fail, certainly you will suffer the fate of your predecessors. So it's not going to be a tea party. There will be a lot of problems for the government and also for the people in terms of implementation of those reforms. So this is natural. But the earlier, the better. If you hit the ground running with your reforms, and there are time limits to which these reforms will take place, and the dividend of the reforms will be enjoyed by the populace, that will be better. But if you go on a late mission and then go on an endless reforms that produce no result, you're simply going to find yourself in the same situation which the present government has found itself. And that will begin by ensuring that your team are people that have the knowledge, the experience, and that are also going to be dedicated to solving the problem. If you win election and then your first point of interest is appeasing those who supported you to be there.
I'm sorry, I must interject in that, but it's at which to sort of interrupt you. So, Mr. Joshua Inire-Walide, good morning, and thank you very much for holding on for that marathon length of time. Go ahead now, please.
Thank you very much, and my greetings to the Senator. Uncle Yori, that executive arm of government and the legislative arm of government are, to me, Siamese twins. They're supposed to be working together. There's one question you put to Senator Sani, and that is between Saraki, a comparison between Saraki and Lawan. And he answered it very well. But as I'm sitting now, I'm struggling to actually remember what their own tenure of office achieved. I could look at Lawan, and I'm seeing local government autonomy. Recently, there's this the passage of the assent of the president to the bill, empowering states to generate and distribute their own power. So many things have been achieved by the present Senate. I can't remember what they achieved. So that arm of government, Uncle Yori, the president-elect and the people around him, should take note that it does a lot more harm to governance than we have given attention to. There's no amount of competence that a president has. If he doesn't have the lawmakers on his side, so to say, right, he cannot succeed. Once you are in government, you are no longer a critic. You are already part of the system making things to work. So I expect that this legislature should be one that will be in tandem, that will be the one that will work with the program of the party to achieve what will move the nation forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Joshua Inire-Walide. Senator, earlier you were in speaking about the areas of focus that you would recommend. Security was among them, and in your home state of Kaduna, the killings have sort of resumed again. There's terrorism and banditry. You've touched on that in passing as we're speaking. So this is a problem that has been sort of resistant to solution. How optimistic are you that fresh legs, so to speak, using the soccer analogy, might make a difference in this worrying problem?
Well, first of all, I will give a little answer to the former caller. Sure.
Okay. As to what
we have achieved
your Senate achieved. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, if the Lawan Senate has achieved more than us, then nobody could have said that the next Senate president is going to will be pitied with the kind of country which he is going to inherit. First of all, our Senate prevented the executive from piling up unnecessary debt, which certainly is going to be a burden for this country. Our Senate performed our function as a parliament by holding the executive to account and performing our oversight function, which is what is the very fact that you will have a dictatorship in the country, and that is it. Now, if you are talking about Kaduna State, Kaduna is part of the northwestern state, and we have the problems of banditry and terrorism for many years now. And the killings in particular southern Kaduna has been more grievous. Not that there was no killing in the Muslim part of northern Kaduna, but the fact that the ones in southern Kaduna is peculiar. They kill people, they burn down houses, they rape women, they attack churches, and attack people irrespective of where they come from the southern part of the country. Why people hear more about it is that the elected representatives from the southern part of Kaduna, they are political leaders, they are traditional leaders, they are religious leaders, are vocal in telling the world, this is the situation of our people, come and see. As for the northern part of Kaduna, Muslims are also being killed. Their homes are being burned down. Their women are being raped. Even 2 days ago, it happened in Binningwari. But the elected representative from the northern part don't want to be seen making this public because they don't want to upset the state government, or they don't want to be seen to be embarrass the government. So the religious leaders and also the political leaders, they choose to remain silent in order to protect the image of the government and the system. Not that our people are also not being killed in northern part of Kaduna. So the world only have one side of the tragedy, because the leaders from that southern part of the Kaduna state are telling the world what is actually happening, while our own prefer to hide our own tragedy, which is also a very big mistake. Apart from me, I can't remember any senator from northern part, or any reps from northern part of Kaduna that has stood consistently in the National Assembly and tell the world that our own part, we from the northern part of Kaduna, are also facing the same problem. And for that, I also had my problems with the state and other people who felt I should also keep quiet, which I cannot. The solution to the problems are not that very easy, because to solve the problem with Kaduna, it has to be done on a regional basis. Because if you send the Air Force to attack the terrorist camp in Kaduna without doing it in Kebbi and Zamfara and Sokoto state, they will move there, and when you are done, they will come back. Kaduna borders Niger state and Zamfara state, and all the states are almost hubs of terrorism and banditry. So if you don't address the problems of those states, our own too will certainly not be addressed. How do we go about this? First of all, the need to use technology. There is no hidden place in the 21st century for anyone. If our own security apparatus will use the necessary technology, these problems can be solved. You have to use local intelligence. Our own villagers need to be drafted. As much as many of them were informants to terrorists and bandits, we should also ensure that they are on our side, give us necessary and relevant information. Action also needs to be taken as at when due, not when terrorists are passing through a village and they keep on making calls, people keep on making calls, and nothing happens until after an hour or two. Take, for example, what happened in the trains, the attack on the trains 1 year ago. In the 21st century, it is awkward to see terrorists waiting ahead for a train to attack without any information given to the authorities that such things are taking place. Even when they attack, they spend about 2 to 3 hours doing what they want to, and then they left. So
once again, it has happened, Senator. I beg your pardon, Senator. I've kept a viewer waiting because I was, my apologies to you, Reverend Dominic in Alimosho. Thank you very much for holding on, but the Senator was making some important points, and I wanted him to land on it. Please go ahead now, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, Chief Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Senator Shehu Sani. Honestly, I couldn't hear him because when he was talking, I was also trying to listen through my phone. I couldn't hear him because I saw a picture which I'm concerned. Chief Yori, I'm no more concerned about who is Senate President. I've made my views known. And my views is what Joshua tried to recap this morning. That the ninth Senate, the 8th Senate, or is it 9th or 8th, which Sani and Saraki was a Senate President, that should not repeat again in the history of Nigeria. Because I rather believe and trust and love a robust Senate that will help the presidency achieve things. That the one that doing loggerhead. We have quarreled so much in Nigeria. We have fought so much in Nigeria. It is time, and we have urgent needs to move forward in Nigeria.
So I rather appreciate a rubber stamp Senate than the one that will be in loggerhead with the presidency. I'm sure you heard what I said. This why Joshua was difficult to find what they achieved, because it was all quarrel. But I want to say this. Please, I want to please.
Reverend Dominic, you faded out and we can't hear you anymore. Okay. Reverend Dominic, I'm so sorry you've gone, but again, we have heard what you have contributed, and I think it's sort of reflective on where you would have gone less. So thank you very much. Senator, you've touched on this as well. You've touched on security killings still going on in Kaduna and other parts of Nigeria, and in relation to Kaduna, you've sort of given the reason for it. The other thing, right? Two things. Let me see which one. You've spoken about subsidy removal that the president-elect on the campaign trail had asserted would be achieved by his administration. Well, the campaign trail is one thing. Being in office is another. You've given some of the shall we say, flashpoints to watch out for, should he indeed intend to go that way. So let me just now ask you, what do you think of Nigeria's revenue in 2022? We are told that 96%, no less of that, has gone towards debt servicing. Can Nigeria survive with this kind of arrangement, in your opinion?
Well, it still goes back to how the government was run in the last 4 years. The very person...
Senator, I'm going to do it early. Senator, I beg your pardon, I'm going to do it early. I want to squeeze in Ada, who has called in from Jos.
Hello,
that will be our final call, so that you can also mop up her comment. Good morning, Ada.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Yuri. Thank you for squeezing me in. Good morning to the Senator, Shehu Sani. The politics of Nigeria made him to be out of the whole equation. It's all the same, no problem. Okay, now what I want to say this is that I don't tell the president-elect, the first challenge he will have is faced with his debt servicing. But having said that, if I know him as a visionary leader anyway, and he's a strategic thinker. I know he will know how to go about it, especially if he blocks leakages in various ministries, stop oil theft, cut down the cost of governance, and and again, you see, I'm not laying so much emphasis on unity because Ashwaju is destabilized, and I know that within a couple of months, within 6 months, he'll be able to unite us. We put a lot of things behind us. But the only problem I don't understand is that why is it that this? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Ada.
Yes, Mr. Yori and Shehu Sani. Please, can you explain to me why the federal government is talking about increasing salary and their way out? Can't they leave it for Ashwaju that is coming in? Why are they complicating issues for him, They're talking about grants from IMF or whatever. Why can't they leave those things for the incoming person so that he will now work with the team,
Okay, Ada, because of time, thank you very much. Well, Senator, you heard all of that. Now I'm in a quandary. Would you like to take on some of the things Ada said? Because we have something like 3 minutes max for everything.
Well, I've heard what Ada said, but my answer would be like this. The very person who will praise the Lawan Senate will be the very person who will tell you that Nigeria is managed badly now. It is still under the same Lawan Senate that we are now going to pay about 96% of our revenue to pay a debt. It's still under Lawan Senate that the CBN became a state within a state, where the CBN governor has become the emperor. He can do whatever he wants to do. That is not unimaginable under Saraki Senate. It's still the same Senate that 133 million people are poor. It's still the same Senate that over 52,000 people within 3 to 4 months were dead as a result of terrorist attack because people who are supposed to be held to account, they refused. So when you are saying that they have done and have achieved, Do you want to tell me that what we are facing today in the country, that the Senate or the National Assembly is not part of it? They were part of it. Whatever the government does, they approve. And this is where we are. If they have achieved, then the next president-elect will have inherited a paradise, but he's going to inherit the hell as far as we are concerned. So why is the federal government, according to the question of Ada, now embarking on things when they're supposed to simply walk towards handover? Well, it's what I don't understand. Some of these things are with good intentions, but some of these things are simply late intervention, and some of these things are simply trap for the next president. Many of these outgoing governors themselves, you see them going to banks to collect money, you see them giving out contracts, you see them employing people into government. All is trying to make it difficult for those who are taking over. And I believe that at this time, the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration should not be thinking of sourcing for loans or implementing some program which they have not done so in 8 years. They should simply be working towards a transition and handover so that the next president can start from a clean slate, not create more problems for him and for the country.
You know what, Senator Shehu Sani, yet again, time has done it. Time has actually defeated us. There's so many other questions interesting that I would have elicited interesting responses from you. But we're going to have to leave it here for now. Time is a dictator. But I want to thank you very much, Senator Shehu Sani, for making time for us this morning. We really appreciate your coming on our program. Thank you very much. So that's our program this morning then. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.